وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Okie dokie, who's here? Okay, okay. So, who can tell me this hadith 517? Why is it so important? We've seen it many times. I think I mentioned it last week, the week before. But why is it such an important hadith? Obviously, Imam Bukhari is talking about it in the context of the sick, and you should visit the sick and etc. But it's much bigger than just the sick person. Who can remember? About khidmah, about being close to Allah. Okay. When I explained it, some of you remember I was talking about the masks. Maybe some of you didn't hear the recording. Every interaction, in reality, you're interacting with one person. And that could be the closeness or your distance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in reality. Could make it or break it. Okay, let's go through it again. So this person doesn't feed the poor, doesn't give water to the thirsty, doesn't visit the sick. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hey, why didn't you do this? And he said, oh Allah, how could I give food to you or visit you when you're sick? You're Allah, like I can't do that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, had you done that, you would have found me there. Right? So what it means then is that obviously feeding the poor is almost like feeding Allah, or giving water to the thirsty is almost like giving water to Allah. And that when you do that, you will find Allah with you and you will find that reward, right? You will find the reward, right? But then by extension, it's everything else in life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, hey, why did you park your car so close to my car? I couldn't get out of my car. And I say, yeah, Allah, how could you not get out of your car when you're Allah? He said, well, had you parked your car a bit further away and given that other person space so that they could get out of their car, you would have found me there. You would have found your strength in Iman and you would see these things. And so my point is when I explained it is in life, life gets confusing when you think of all these different people and different things, right? Like there's the cup and there's the screen and there's the person and that other person and this and that and all these things in life. But in reality, you know what? We're not interacting with people. We are we're reacting with little stages, little role plays, little games, little uh, um, uh, kind of in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us. And when we are, when we kill the cockroach in a nice way, we find Allah. Allah is cognizant, obviously, fully aware of what we're doing. It means a lot to Him. When we see that that's a sign of Allah, Allah's testing us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases our iman and the closeness of Allah becomes more obvious. And then on Judgment Day, Allah, who was there with us the whole time, appreciates it. As if He were the cockroach, right? The kid who really doesn't deserve a break and you're giving him a break. The spouse who caused the argument, right? And you could put them in their place or expose their errors, whatever. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, just like this hadith, right? I asked you to be a forgiving husband or a supportive wife or whatever it was that they didn't do and you didn't. They're like, yeah, Allah, I'm not married to you. Well, yeah, yes and no. In reality, in your marriage, it's just a game. It's just a game. The person kind of doesn't really exist, and that's kind of irrelevant. The point is your continual interactions with that person vis-a-vis your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the point I was making, is that there's all these things in life, the way you look after your car, the how you do your work, how you view your health, if you put the pencil back, how you talk to people. There's all these different things. In reality, they're just masks. And on Judgment Day, those masks will be taken off, and you're like, oh man, right? So when people don't see that those are just masks, they see things as different. Like the Kaaba is holy, but the desk is not. Right? The sheikh, oh, show respect to the sheikh. Don't be disrespectful to the sheikh. You can be disrespectful to your little brother, doesn't matter. Because but it's not like that. Because they're all creations of Allah, and you're being tested in all of these things. And in all of these situations, you're either gonna do something that Allah wants or not. And really, it's like how close these things are. It's like there is really no gap. هذا خلق الله فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this thing in front of you is the active creating of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a, what's the word? A simulation that Allah is creating in front of you. And there's nothing else besides simulation. This is the creating of Allah. And Allah's just testing us in this simulation. But we get lost and we make it very real, right? When it's not, it's just a simulation and you're just being tested. And it's just a question of how are you going to interact. So respect for people is respect for Allah. Being cruel to people is being cruel to Allah. There's no way that you can be tested on being, are you cruel to Allah or not, except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala putting somebody in a situation where you could be cruel to them, and then you are cruel to them, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, there we go. Not believing in his prophets is not believing in him, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, don't harm Allah and his messengers. You can't harm Allah. Why? By harming his messenger, you're harming Allah. I mean, effectively. So Allah, you can only respect Allah by respecting the Mus'haf, by respecting your elders, by respecting this. You can only be loyal to Allah by being loyal to people. You can only be like, how else are you supposed to show altruism? I preferred Allah to myself. What, in a piece of pizza? How? Allah didn't need the piece of pizza. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you a situation where there's two of you and one piece of pizza. And how are you going to do things? He gives you a situation of limited funds, limited situation. How could you be patient with Allah when Allah is beautiful and amazing and not annoying? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates an annoying person in your life. And this is how you show that you're being patient with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so everything around you, وَأَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, whatever situation you're going to be in, فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, that is the face of Allah. You're dealing with Allah. So it becomes very weird and confusing when it's like, when people talk about halal, haram. Like, what does it mean? Is something halal or haram, or is something Allah has made halal and Allah has made haram? Say, oh, this is makruh, don't do that, right? What do you mean is Allah hates this, don't do that. Like you're doing something Allah hates. So it's very easy for life, our interactions with people and things, and even the Sharia itself becomes disconnected from our immediate interaction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But strong Iman means this. Strong Iman is that I'm not even seeing people. I don't see people. I just see my way, situations in which I show my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all. That's all it is. Situations in which I show my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Various different sides of my very complex and inshallah very deep relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's really a very relieving hadith because I don't have to deal with all these people. Just deal with Allah. But then it's a very scary hadith because suddenly like, oh man, all of these people. Mm-hmm. Well, how we go about poor people begging for money in holy places, giving for the sake of Allah but pulling back as many have left, there are frauds. Yeah. So number one, it's okay to give to frauds, charity, not zakah, right? Number one. Number two, you say that, I don't want to, you can re research the situation, but often it's not very useful. You'd say, why don't, like the same money that I'm being asked to give. Number one, charity. I worked in charity for a long time, and charity is useful when it is consistent. So if you got that same money, somebody's asking you for £5, you gave £5 to one family for the next 20 years. They now can rely on that, right? In their country, they need, for example, £12 a month to send their kid to school. Now you've covered five of it. They just need the other seven. But if they don't know when that's coming, then you haven't given them the five because they don't know that it's coming. If you can't predict something, it's not there, right? So that's something totally different. That's now the practicalities, right? And we're talking about the specifics. I'm talking about the big picture. Is that when the person is asking for money, he's not actually there. When the adhan is going, there's no adhan. It's just Allah asking you to pray, right? When somebody's asking you forgiveness, it is Allah who's asking for forgiveness. When somebody's asking you to prefer, or there's a situation where you have to prefer them to yourself, right? It's only Allah. You're just dealing with Allah. Another similar hadith, the son of Adam insults me, and he has no right to insult me. Like, what do you mean? He curses time, capital T. He's like, the economy is so bad, the weather's so annoying. He says, I am time. Like, I am the one who's making it happen. So you're talking to me, right? Oh, I hate traffic. Oh, you mean you hate Allah? I didn't say that. Well, who made the traffic, right? Who made the traffic? Allah made the traffic. So when you're talking about the traffic, you're talking about Allah. When you are irritated with people for something that is not immoral, right? Somebody who breathes in an annoying way, who you are being irritated by Allah. So your irritation in reality is with Allah Himself. And had you been patient and humble and seen it, this is Allah is making this happen. And there's nothing immoral about the way they breathe. It's just annoying, right? That annoyance is coming directly from Allah. And you'll have to say, Allah. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meet you on Judgment Day, said you could have been patient. Why did you get continually frustrated? It's like, well, because you didn't see that it's coming from Allah, because of your myopia, right? So this hadith is about myopia and not being myopic. What is this thing? This is a simulation. I need to see what's going on. This is all a code. I need to crack the code. What is cracking the code? It's called strong iman. It's called clarity. It's called the opposite of myopia, whatever that is, right? Broad-sightedness, seeing things as they are, seeing things in the light of reality, right? It's just a test. Every single thing is just a test. Does that make sense? Can everybody hear me now? One, two.
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I know why. 1 second. Give me a second, please.
It's better now.
Okay. Who was here last week? The woman visiting the sick man. What did we learn? Nobody? Okay. Gender interactions. Thank you, Husna. What did we say then? So what's the default then when you go and when you go up to somebody who's in an emotional situation, they just lost a loved one, they're sick, they need, and you show as a right when you start to when you start to show empathy for a member of opposite sex, what's the default? What happens by default? There's an attachment that builds. That's the nature of humans. If you don't believe it, live life. That's just the nature, right? So we said that was the default. So therefore, it should be avoided as much as possible. Here we have, she's this physically distant. She is a scholar. She's revered by people. She's not actually getting off her camel. She is doing it, right? So it's not 100% off the charts, off whatever it's called, not something completely haram, but we have to be cognizant of that. So he is saying, well, it did happen. At the end of the day, technically, this woman did visit a sick person, man, but maybe he was very old, maybe she was old. And again, half the people here are what I know Fakhri is turning 50 soon, but half of us are like, 40s, 50s, whatever. Old does not mean 40s, 50s, right? When you're like 20, like 40s, like, whoa, old, or 50s, like super old. That's not old. Old is like 80, 90, right? Where nobody, right? This person is what's called ajuz. They are like, in Arabic, you refer to an old man and an old woman as the same because you almost become asexual again, right? Just like a baby, you're like almost asexual. You get to a stage in life where you're kind of asexual, right? Looking at a man, looking at a woman, it's all the same. Nobody looks at you, you don't look at anybody, right? That's what we mean when you say old. That's old, right? Otherwise, somebody in their 50s or 60s is not old. They are still a sexual being, right? Somebody in their 80s or 90s, like, it's like whatever, you know. Um, so that's what we're talking about. So was she that age? Was she not? Allahu alam. Was he that age? Was he not? Allahu alam. I don't know. But the point is, there was some kind of barrier, right? And there's a big difference. For example, like they mentioned this in salams. Like, could a man give salams to a bunch of women? Yes, he could. But could he give salams to a woman? Like he walks past a sister and says, "Assalamu alaikum, sister." You can't do that, right? Because that's a personal interaction, right? So a sister messaged me, "Oh, Sheikh Farid, I heard you moved to Malaysia. Mubarak, making dua for you. Heart." And it's like, sister, what are you doing? Right? You know? Even take out the heart, making dua for you. Like, why are you personally making dua for me? That's a personal thing. You got to talk to me as a man on a professional level, on a practical level. So and so, right? You need to pay your bills. Or I have a question, right? You've got to keep it distant because by default, it's like that. That is the default, right? And so we have to be very cognizant of that. And then the next hadith then goes on so here these two hadiths, these are very good. These two hadiths are encapsulate very well a message that I'm always trying to get across and the balance that the Sahaba had with gender interactions. So if you read this hadith, right, it says Abdullah ibn Abi Hudayl, he said Abdullah ibn Mas'ud went to visit a sick person with some other people. There was a woman in the room, and one of the men began looking at her. Abdullah ibn Umar said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, it would have been better for you if your eyes had been gorged out, right? So we all went to visit this guy, he's sick, and you're checking out his wife. Like, what are you doing? It would be better for somebody to pick your eyes out. So is it okay to look at an attractive woman? No, it is not. Is it okay to look at an attractive man? No, it is not. Okay, so what's the interaction then? Do I have to always be away from all men? Like men have to live in one city and women in another city. Is it like that? The answer is no. Here is a woman visiting a man, right? So at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, men and women prayed in the masjid together. People saw people. Did they socialize? No. Did they dress inappropriately? No. Did some women wear niqab? Yes. Did some women not wear niqab? Yes. Did some women not wear even hijab? Yes. Originally, the Sahabiyat weren't wearing hijab, and then non-slaves started to wear hijab. So, but female slaves still wore hijab, right? Was it possible in the time of the Prophet ﷺ to see an attractive woman or attractive man? Yes, it was, because they live on planet Earth, right? And then the Prophet ﷺ told us what we should do in that situation. So it's a very there's it's A, being cognizant of the temptation, B, being cognizant of the reality of life. Like you do actually have to get on with things. So we have either two extremes. We're not cognizant of the reality of life in that we're like, oh yeah, I'm just talking to so and so and having a joke with so and so. And it's like as if there's no attraction. There is an attraction. That's the default, right? So I'm cognizant of the fact that the default is attraction. A. I'm also cognizant of the fact that I have to do things. I have to go into an office and I can't be like, oh, before I go to the office, I'm going to call up the office and ask if they have any men. And if they don't have any men, I'm going to send my wife in. Like you have to interact with people. You have to talk to people. You have to buy from people. This is just life, right? This is just the nature of life. So there is this balance, right? Okay. So Abdullah, so it mentions here that he said he's going in. So what are you doing? Right. And so again, the attractive member of the opposite sex, they are just a test. They are just a test. This person walks past you, you have to interact with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I told you not and this is subhanallah is a good a good exercise in marriage. I'm always talking about marriage because I honestly think marriage is one of the best iman lessons. I mean, you could fail the test, of course, but it's one of the best things, right? So Fakhri gets married, and within a year, now and then, more or less, there's a conversation with his wife about jealousy, right? Sisters, is that going to happen? Imagine Fakhri's young man, he's going to get married, and a situation is going to come up where his wife is going to be offended by who Fakhri looked at, who Fakhri spoke to, who Fakhri spoke about, right? Is that going to happen, sisters? Is it normal as a woman to be jealous or as a man? Depends on the mentality, but I think most women, it's going to happen at some time, right? Even for men as well. It's going to happen, okay? Um, it depends on certain issues, but it's going to happen, right? So now, here's a good test, okay? So here's Fakhri walking down the street with his wife, and he knows his wife is very sensitive about who he looks at or doesn't look at, okay? And if his wife saw him literally look at a woman and then look back, she would be really hurt, right? She would be really hurt. And so he's being kind of more careful than normal, okay? Which is a good thing. Then he realizes, actually, there's no difference if your wife's there or not, right? Because who's more jealous, your wife or Allah? Allah's Prophet said, Ma min aghyar min Allah. There is nobody who's more jealous than Allah. Notice that? So, right? So Fakhri is like, oh my God, I'm married to this like insane lady. She's like so sensitive and like so like if okay, fine, I did something haram. I'm sorry. Like there's this lady walked past, I looked and I looked again. Like doesn't but why is she like on my case? And he's like, SubhanAllah, Allah's more jealous than that. Allah's more jealous than that. So Allah is more angry with you and more quote unquote sensitive when you prefer the dunya to him, when you prefer the donut to Allah, when you prefer the screen, wasting time on YouTube to Allah, when you prefer the haram to the halal, right? And that's the hadith continues, right? And because of his ghaira, because of his jealousy, he has forbidden shameful things, like you're looking at someone who's not halal for you to look at. Like that's his jealousy. You can't. He's not jealous in that with a spouse. They feel like you've taken something away from them, so it hurts them, right? My wife comes home and starts talking about, oh yeah, there's this guy at work, and he's so good with his kids, and he just got a promotion, and I think he's going to become the regional manager. So now everything that she looks for in me is in him. I'm like, right. I feel like I've cheated because I'm a slave and I need. Allah doesn't need. So you can't take something away from Allah. It's not like you hurt Allah. But Allah's jealousy, his protective jealousy, his ghaira over us is affronted when we do the haram. when we prefer others to him. He's very jealous. And he wants us to focus on him, not on anything else. And so it's this the same thing. Don't see situations, see Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I told you not to look at that woman. You're like, no, you didn't, Allah. So yeah, I did. Right? Yeah, I did. Does that make sense? So seeing Allah in the picture, don't see your wife, don't see your husband, don't see the situation, see the test, right? And who can remember that very famous scene in The Matrix where Neo's walking with Morpheus, and he says, "Look back." What happened? Neo's walking. They're walking through a crowd of people. Neo keeps turning around, looking at somebody, and then he says, "Look again." Does anyone remember that? No. So Matrix is a really good. I don't advise people to watch television, and I don't advise anybody should watch The Matrix because there's certain things you shouldn't see in it. But anyway, in it, the whole issue of the Matrix is really useful in understanding this thing that it's a dunya, right? The dunya is the Matrix, not real. It's just a code. Okay. So anyway, he enters this simulation, and they're walking through the crowd because Morpheus knows the situation. He can walk through the crowd easily. Right? If you know the Sharia, you can walk through this complex life easily. Neo doesn't know the situation. He keeps getting bumped by people. He doesn't know how to navigate things, right? Then this attractive woman walks past. So Neo's looking to the right and looks again and looks again. So then Morpheus says, "Look again," and he looks back. The whole scene changes. The city is no longer there. The crowd is no longer there, and all it is a man with a gun to his head. That is exactly this scenario. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you in a situation of temptation. Don't look again. Don't look again. Don't look again. You looked again. Boom. You got you. You failed the test. So it's not about this person. The person is not there. It is the test. Are you going to lower your gaze? That's it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's just a simulation. Are you going to lower your gaze? That's it. Right? Okay. Now, what would the Sahaba say about our screens today? What would Abdullah Mas'ud, he said about this man, he went to do something good, but they ended up doing something bad. He went to go and visit a sick person, and they ended up looking at this woman. What would Abdullah Mas'ud say about our iPhones and our computer screens today? I went on the internet to do something good, check an email, research something, listen to Mufti Mink, come to this class. What would he say? What would they say about our screens today? You're following me on Instagram, and you're listening to my amazing thing, right? Better without them. Is that what he would have said? He would have said not good. What did he say about this man who saw one woman, who looked at one woman? Better without them, right? So let's imagine, okay, let's imagine the scene, okay? You speak to some of the students of Abdullah Mas'ud, they say, we're going to go and visit so and so. You leave your house, okay, maybe in Iraq, maybe somewhere else, okay? Maybe you're in Medina. I don't know where they are. Okay? You're walking down the street. You see one person, you might see another person. How many sensual images did you see in that day? Right? Do you think this woman's decked out? There's the correct lighting. She's sitting in a certain position. Is that what's going to happen, or is it just going to be fairly normal? Like, okay, you might see one or two people and look away, and that's it. Like, how bad was the situation for them? Does everyone understand my question? Yeah, it's nothing. So I'm not saying today in general. I'm talking about literally the screen today. Like today, you sit in front of the screen on your computer or on your phone. How much haram are you going to see? You're going to see a lot, right? It's going to be a lot. So if Abdullah Mas'ud was today, I would not be surprised, right? I would not be surprised if he broke your phone. If he was there next to you and you saw what was on your phone, like, whoa, he'd be like, break the phone. You'd say, why? This is, he said, if only your eyes were gorged out. I mean, that's pretty violent. His reaction to something that's fairly small in our comparison is pretty violent. So it's really not a small thing, right? I've told people many times I would prefer my son to smoke than to have an iPhone. Because how many cigarettes is he going to smoke? 80 a day? But if you have an iPhone, haram image. Pause, pause, haram image. Pause, pause, pause. Haram image. Pause, pause, pause. Haram image. Right? So it's like it's non-stop. The the way it's presented is just continuous. If you watch TV, it's just continuous. Continual flow of soft pornography. That's what it is. Continual flow, right? That's just what it is. SubhanAllah, I was on somebody, I have, on my YouTube, number one, I put image block on. Number two, I pay for no ads. I was using somebody else's account and I was like, SubhanAllah, like, you know, like it's like stupid. It's like ridiculous. So the normal person who does not have image block on, the normal person who does not have ad blocks off, the normal person who just like sees things and then looks away is like, how much haram have you seen? Right? And how much haram have you looked at? Right? And then to what extent are you free of responsibility knowing that those kind of images are going to come up in ads, in films, in as you're going through Instagram, you're going to see this. As you're going to see this, it's like it's kind of ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And then even if you do have image block on, there's still certain things that are going to not be blocked. So it's like, if for somebody to come along, I'm not a mufti, right? For somebody to come along and say the internet and smartphones are haram, like that's not an extreme fatwa at all. Because it's like somebody who's like continually falling into the haram on a regular basis, and you're saying, Sheikh, is it halal for me to use this? Well, I mean, that doesn't make it, it's like that's ridiculous, right? That's a ridiculous statement. Anything that normally results in the haram is haram. Well, doesn't the use of an iPhone, does it not normally result in the haram on a daily basis? So yeah. Okay, so how is this halal then? Right? So we're going to say, well, I need to use my smartphone. I used to use that case. In which case then, if we say it's halal, if we say it's halal, image block, very restricted use, right? I just mentioned Instagram. Am I actually on Instagram? Yeah, I post on Instagram, right? Do you know who posts for me? Do you know that I don't actually post and I don't even check the responses? I'm not actually there. I have somebody else do it for me because I know that Instagram knows that I'm a male in my 30s and certain things are going to come up, right? That's what's going to happen. That's just how it is, you know? And it comes up in all sorts of ways, all sorts of ways. So it's like, yeah, it's not a safe place to be. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the most beloved of places to Allah are the mosques, and the most hated of places to Allah are the marketplaces. That's what Instagram is. It's there to make money. That's what the internet is there. It's there to make money. And it makes money through soft pornography. That's how films work. That's how adverts work. That's how it's just what it does. It's like soft pornography. That's what it is. That's how it is. It's pornographic. It's nothing else. Right? So we have to be cognizant of that and see how the Sahaba and Tabi'een and the Prophet ﷺ would have looked at this and how there's a situation where this is like imagine, it's like imagine I have to work with a bunch of homosexual men who are trying to like tempt me. Like, how would I interact with them? Like, I have to go and do surgery on them. I have to do the accounts. I have to interact. But it's like a really weird, awkward, disgusting situation that I really want to be away from as much as possible. So I go into the situation and it's like, this is really, really weird and I in super haram. I don't want to be here, but I have to be here for A, B, and C and then leave. That's how we have to interact with the screen. Get in and get out. That's it. Limit the harm, image block, double image block, this. Limit things as much as humanly possible. Because otherwise, it's not a place to be. It's not a place to be. It's a place of haram, continual haram. Right? Even cartoons, subhanAllah. So many cartoons, you see them now, it's like, subhanAllah. You don't realize how bad they are. Right? So we have to understand it's a cheap selling tool and it's being used on a regular basis. Right? Make sense? So the next time you see something that you shouldn't see, you're like, man, what did Abdullah Mas'ud say? He's like, yeah, it'd be better to have your eyes picked out than to have looked at that, right? And the kind of thing that he's looking at is not the kind of thing that we're looking at, right? It's not, done in the same way. May Allah protect us all. Does that make sense, inshallah? Okay. Okay, so Zayd ibn Arqam, I'm going to read from the hadith now. 5, 3, 2. Okay, so it says visiting somebody with an eye problem. So it says باب الإعادة من الرمد. قال حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن مبارك قال حدثنا سلم بن قتيبة قال حدثنا يوسف بن أبي إسحاق عن أبي إسحاق قال سمعت زيد بن أرقم يقول رمدت عيني فعادني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قال يا زيد لو أن عينك لما بها كيف كنت تصنع؟ قال كنت أصبر وأحتسب قال لو أن عينك لما بها ثم صبرت واحتسبت كان ثوابك الجنة. Clear. So it says, so Zayd ibn Arqam Sahabi said, I had a pain in my eyes and the Prophet ﷺ visited me. Okay, so what do? I have a pain in the eyes. Who's causing this pain? Allah. Give it back to Allah. Complain to Allah. Allah, my eyes hurt. Oh Allah, please make me patient. Oh Allah, I accept the difficulty you give me, but please relieve the pain. Give it to Allah. Right? This is the test. Give it back to Allah. Right? As opposed to see it from somewhere else. And said, Zayd, if your eyes were to go blind because of this illness, what would you do? Right? So this is a process to do. Imagine if you lost all of your family. Imagine if you lost your limbs. Imagine if you lost lose all of these things now. Like let go of every single thing you want in your life to get better, or you want in your life to improve, or you want your life to stay. I want my wealth to stay. I want my wealth to get better. Give everything away, right? The Prophet is helping him process this. Imagine if it got worse. What would you do? Okay, let's prepare. Let's think. If it got worse, I'll be patient. Okay. Now he's prepared for that. So when it happens, it's okay. I suppose you're not prepared for that, right? You have kids, let go of all of them. Wealth, health, safety, intellect. If you could no longer do 4 plus 4, what would you do? Right? Because one day it might happen, you have an accident and you don't know the most basic things. Right? SubhanAllah, there was a brother in the Brentwood community. He mentioned that he got electrocuted at work and he can't, he said like his memory is really, really bad and he's not going to be able to drive because it's actually dangerous. And SubhanAllah, that brother, I remember now, just right now, that brother has a really nice classic vintage Mustang. right? He might not never be able to drive it ever again. He got electrocuted at work. Something happened, some safety issue, whatever, right? Never be able to drive that car again. So if you took that really nice car, right? Like I don't even like cars. And I was like, wow, that's a nice car. Like like obviously somebody really like, it's like, whoa, that kind of car stood out. It's like a vintage 1961 and a half. Like he knows the month when it came out, right? And it's like you will never be able to drive that car ever again. Let go of the car, let go of the driving, let go of friends, let go of everything, let go of everything in the dunya. Say, oh Allah, Radit, I'm happy, I'm patient, I accept, and I'm ready to go. Die before you die, right? That's what the Prophet is training him to die before you die, right? That's the mature person, is the person who dies before they die, right? If they die emotionally before they die physically, right? And then they are free of the difficulties of life and they put things in the right perspective, right? So he said, if you were to do that and you're like, I'm okay, Allah took my eyesight away, right? You would have Jannah. Okay, then he says, حدثنا موسى قال حدثنا حماد عن علي بن زيد عن القاسم بن محمد. So this is the grandson of Abu Hussein Abu Bakr. أن رجلا من أصحاب محمد ذهب بصره فعادوه فقال كنت أريدهما لأنظر إلى النبي فأما إذا قبض النبي فوالله ما يسرني أن ما بهما بظبي من ظباء تبالة. Right? So what was it? One of the Sahaba, he lost his eyesight. He said, I used to want my eyesight, right? I used to want my eyesight in order to look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was my point of having eyes? Was to look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But now that the Prophet has passed away, by Allah, what has happened to my eyes is easier for me. The translation is not right. He said, I wouldn't care if I had eyes, if I had beautiful eyes or no eyes. I don't really care, right? So gazelles are known for having beautiful eyes, right? So he says, I don't care, right? So I wouldn't care if I had the eyes I have now, which can't see, or the beautiful, amazing eyes of the eyes of Tibala in Yemen. Okay? Like it doesn't, I don't care. Like I don't have any. So here, this is Zahid. I only care about the dunya in as much as it's useful in my akhirah. Right? Like it was at Sayyidina Umar or Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he said, if it wasn't for jihad, and if it wasn't for sujood, and if it wasn't for being around religious people, I wouldn't care if I was alive or dead. Like I'm only here to do certain things. I'm only interested in life to do certain things. Right? So this is this key thing to think about. Your enjoyment, okay? Your enjoyment of certain things in the dunya. Why do you care about them? So when you spend time with your kids, are you spending time with your kids because you like them? Or are you spending time with your kids because this is a good deed? Like I want my kids I want to bond my kids so they have a strong relationship with me so that I can guide them to do good so that they can do lots of good things. And whether I'm alive or dead, we're actually alive because we're doing good deeds. As opposed to we're just here because it's fun, it's just whatever, right? Why do you stroke the cat? Who cares about the cat? The cat's dead. The cat's not there. As opposed to, I want to show compassion to the cat. Why did you clean the cat's what's it called? What's it called? Uh, the cat's place where he goes to the bathroom. Because Allah loves cleanliness. I don't care about the cleanliness. I'm not interested. Allah loves cleanliness. Why do you care about washing up? Because I want to show to Allah, say, Allah, you put plates. I preferred myself. I preferred others to myself, so I did it. And Allah, you like cleanliness. I'm doing that. I actually don't care about whether the plates are gone there or not. It's irrelevant. I'm not thinking about other people. I'm not thinking about the plates. I'm not thinking about, oh my God, the house is a mess. I hate it when the house is a mess. I'm not interested in that because I'm a dead man and I just want to do something that Allah loves. Washing the dishes, vacuum cleaning, checking the oil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to check the oil of the car, not because I care about the car or because it's my new car and I'm really careful about it. No, just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this is an amana, look after the car, right? Later train, Jazakallah. We have another class I have to run to, inshallah. So, inshallah, I've made my point, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Jazakumullah khair.